Hello, my friend. I'm glad you're here. You've made time for rest, and the night is ready to hold you. Before we meet our traveler, let's let the body soften. There's nowhere to go, nothing to solve, just quiet. If you like, place one hand where the breath rises. Feel its gentle tide. We'll take 3 easy breaths together. Inhale slowly to a soft count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 2. 1, 2. And exhale like a long sigh for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, inhale to 4, hold for 2, and exhale to 6, letting the shoulders melt. One more time, breathing in, holding, and breathing out. A quiet hush, as if blowing across the surface of warm tea. Good. If thoughts arrive, let them drift like leaves on a slow river. You don't have to invite or dismiss them. They'll find their own banks. Tonight's story will do the rest. It begins on a hill with old stones and a path of pale dust, the kind that remembers every footstep and still offers a soft welcome. The hill faces a wide valley of lavender and grasses, and beyond it, a lake like a dark mirror. The world is resting under a bowl of midnight blue. And on that hill there is a traveler, an ordinary soul with ordinary boots and a woolen cloak that smells faintly of cedar. His name is Elias. Elias has walked all day without hurry. He isn't searching for treasure or running from anything. He simply goes where the air feels gentle and the horizon keeps an honest distance. He is the kind of person who listens for small things, a reed bending and unbending, a moth stitching its soft path, the way a path widens around a beloved tree. Tonight he reaches the top of the hill and sets his pack down beside a broken stone wall, where lichen has painted the rock in quiet greens. The ground is friendly here. He spreads a blanket and sits, drawing his knees close, letting the warmth of the fabric gather around him. The sky, meanwhile, clears its throat in stars. They arrive one by one, then all at once, pricking silver through the deep blue. Orion leans his belt above the lake. Cassiopeia lounges like a crooked crown. The Milky Way is a pale spill, as if someone gently tipped a bowl of light and apologized for doing so. Elias lights no fire. He has learned that flames have their own voice, a crackle that can drown out the hush he seeks. Instead, he takes a sip from a tin mug of chamomile, feeling the steam write soft spirals into the night. He wraps his hands around the warm cup and lets his breath fall into a comfortable rhythm, steady, unforced, a small tide going out and returning. There is a loneliness to him, though it is the kind that doesn't bite. It's a polite loneliness that knows the rules of quiet places. He has walked far enough to be a little separate from names and questions, from the thrum of tasks and the bright wanting of day. Here, on this mild hill, he is simply a person in the tender space between earth and sky. It is enough. When he looks up, he notices a tremble in the starlight, as if the sky has taken a breath and is exhaling through 1,000 little lanterns. He thinks he hears something, just a feather of sound. Not wind, not water, not the creak of the wall settling under night's cool hand. He tilts his head. There it is again, a thread of whisper. He doesn't move closer. There's nowhere to go. Instead, Elias becomes as still as the wall, as open as the lake. He lets the whisper find him. The first star to speak is not the brightest. It sits slightly to the west, in a small cluster that looks like seeds scattered from a careful hand. Its voice is a fine silver, the sound of a distant bell heard through snowfall. It tells a simple thing. I have watched two paths crossing. Elias listens. The star continues, and in the space between its words, the night breathes. The story is about a harbor town where lanterns bob and ropes sigh against sanded posts. Two people walk at different hours, one at dawn, one at dusk. They never meet. Nevertheless, their footprints kiss on the same planks of the same pier, and each feels lighter on those boards, as if some unspoken companion has kept them company. Love, the star suggests, isn't always a face you can touch. Sometimes it's an echo that makes the world less heavy. Elias smiles into the cup, and the steam brushes his cheek. He thinks of how often he has felt warmed by a place, the mysterious kindness of a doorway or a spoon or a chair, as if gratitude lingers in the grain of wood and waits for the next passer-by. Another star clears its throat, a little brighter, a little bluer. This one tells of a garden planted in a rocky patch behind a small apartment, where the city hums and people carry their working days like bags of oranges. The gardener, a woman with gentle hands, puts hope in the soil. Her tomatoes are late. Her basil sulks. Her rosemary sleeps. And yet, every morning she hums. The star says that hope is patient music, not a trumpet, but a low hum that helps roots turn in the dark. It doesn't ask for applause, it just goes on. Elias feels his shoulders settle. He lets the words run through him without catching them, the way wind slides through reeds. If the stars are telling stories, he does not need to do anything with them. He only needs to listen. Above him, a trail of light. No rush, no blaze, just a soft stroke of brightness, like a fingertip over velvet. The lake answers with a faint silver shiver. The stones remember being mountains. The grasses whisper, shh, shh, tracing the edges of the hill. To be sure that your body is drifting with him, we can soften the breath once more. Inhale like you're smelling the night's clean air. Hold for a quiet beat. Exhale as if fogging a mirror, longer and kinder. Letting the jaw unclench, letting the hands heavy down. If eyelids want to flutter, let them. If the face wants to be smooth like water, let it be smooth. Elias pulls the blanket around his shoulders and reclines, resting on one elbow. He isn't hurrying toward sleep, only leaning in its direction, the way a sunflower leans toward the last of the light. The hill accepts him, and the sky seems to scoot closer, conspiratorial and dear, the way a friend draws near to share something tender. Tonight, the stars will keep speaking. Each one carries a little story folded like a note in a pocket. Love, hope, forgotten dreams that remember us even when we don't remember them. It is a gentle choir. And Elias, with his cedar cloak and quiet heart, is ready to listen as you rest beside him, in the same soft darkness, under the same patient sky. When you're ready, we'll wander with him into the stories. The hill has settled into its night posture. Rounded spine, soft breath of grass, hush of the lake below. Elias lies back and lets the blanket hold him. The mug is empty now, warm rim cooling against the earth. Above, the stars are patient and bright. When they speak, they do it in the tone of old friends who would never rush you. A little amber star to the south clears its throat first. Its voice is warm, like honey poured in a thin, steady ribbon. It tells of a lighthouse where the stairway smelled of salt and iron, and the keeper, Mara, kept 2 lamps, one for ships, one for people's hearts. She lit the big lamp at dusk, as she was taught, and the small one when someone from the village came to tell her a worry. They would sit on the landing with their hands around a chipped mug, and Mara would listen. She didn't offer answers. She didn't offer fixes. She just listened until the worry grew tired and put its head down. The star says love can be a clean, open chair beside a window, with a light left on and no questions asked. Sometimes the safe harbor is a person, steady as a beam across dark water. Elias's mouth softens at the corners. He thinks of chairs he has known, chairs that seem to hold stories in the worn-out places where elbows always land. He takes a slow breath and lets it go as a long, quiet thread. To the north, a coal blue star replies, a cool bell in the air. It speaks of a clockmaker named Ansel who kept a glass jar on his workbench. He said the jar held lost hums. When a customer came in looking dim with fatigue, Ansel would invite them to rest while he wound a spring. He'd open the jar, and the room would fill with a low, glad humming. Like bees in lavender, like someone humming over a sink full of clean dishes. People remembered their pace, remembered that not everything needs to be on time to be right. The star says hope is a hum you carry, not loud, not fancy. You can set it down when it's heavy and pick it up again when you're ready. It waits without judgment. A faint silver point near the horizon leans in. Its story is a softer one, about two neighbors who shared a wall. On one side lived a potter named Nico who worked at night, spinning clay while the city slept. On the other side lived a baker named Ellen who rose before dawn to knead dough in a blue bowl that had belonged to her grandmother. They rarely met. Their clocks overlapped only in the dark seam of early morning. Yet, when Nico left bowls on his windowsill to dry, he would set one aside with a little thumbprint on the rim, a secret mark. Ellen would find it on her stoop the next day, sometimes with a sprig of rosemary tucked inside. In return, she slid a loaf through the gap by the hinge, still warm, the crust whispering when touched. They passed years like this, an exchange of useful tenderness with no ledger. One day, the star says, there was a knock, and there they were, both laughing, both dusty with flour and slip. "Ah," Ellen said, "so it's you." Love may travel through walls long before hands meet. The Milky Way spills its light, and the lake answers with a shiver of light. Elias turns his head on his rolled cloak. He is not lonely now. He is companioned by these small and generous lives. He notices that his breath has grown slow. so slow that it feels like the lake is breathing him. If you like, you may rest your palm on your belly and count a gentle tide with me. Inhale to 4, as if scenting warm bread. Hold for 2, and exhale to 6, like a soft hush across a sleeping porch. Once more, breathing in, pausing, and breathing out as shoulders slide lower into the mattress of grass. A pale green star offers a story of forgotten dreams that did not forget the dreamer. It tells of a mapmaker named Sora who once drew imaginary coastlines when she couldn't sleep. Bays and coves and long curling peninsulas, each named for a kindness someone had given her. The pages lived in a drawer for years while life filled itself with ordinary tasks. One evening, when the city lights were kind and quiet, a draft lifted the paper and set it on the floor. Sora sat down cross-legged and felt in the tug under her ribs that the maps were not nonsense. They were a promise to keep noticing kindness and to give it names. She framed 3 maps and hung them by the door, where she could tip her hat to them on the way out. The star says forgotten dreams are often just dreams waiting for the season that suits them. They do not vanish. They drowse and wake when they feel a warm hand. Another star, steadier and whiter, speaks of a musician who stopped playing when silence became heavy. He kept his piano closed and used it as a table. On it sat a bowl of keys with no locks, a stack of letters, and a lemon that never found tea. Years later, while dusting, he touched one ivory with the back of his knuckle. The note was shy but whole. He opened the lid. No audience, no performance, just him and a room where the sun made soft squares on the floor. He played the gentlest chords he knew, ones that close slowly, like the eyes of a person drifting off. The star says dreams do not demand applause. They ask for presence, and they give it back. Elias listens, and something long and easy unknots in his chest. He thinks of the tools in his pack, a small knife with a dull, friendly blade, a napkin he embroidered along the edge during a rainy week, a folded paper with a single line he wrote months ago. Remember the river you promised to visit. He had forgotten that promise until now. The remembering does not hurt. It is a warm tap on the shoulder, a quiet when you're ready. Down near the trees, an owl calls once, soft, polite, as if to say, "I'm here too." The grasses answer with shh, shh. The sky deepens into velvet, and the stars continue as if rocking a cradle made of air. A star near Vega laughs lightly, no bite, just a smile, and shares a tale of a tailor, Mina, who stitched extra pockets into people's coats without telling them. For what, they would ask, later, surprised? For grace, Mina would say, and pat the pocket. It's useful to keep a bit where you can reach it. People found over time that their hands went to those pockets when they needed to forgive themselves for small things. The broken plate, the late arrival, the weary word. Love, the star concludes, is practical. It makes pockets where you can store softness for when you misplace your own. Elias lets the words flow through him. He doesn't need to keep them all. They are like constellations. It is enough to know they exist. He feels warmth creep into his toes, a sleepy tide climbing the shore of his body. The hill feels more and more like a bed, the night like a quilt tucked around him by careful hands. If you want, loosen your jaw as if about to yawn. Let the tongue rest like a small boat in a calm harbor. Let the eyes be heavy coins pressed gently on velvet. Your breath knows the way. It will carry you. The stars will keep watch. They love to keep watch. Above, one last voice for now. Small, sweet, almost a whistle, tells the simplest story of all. A person woke, fed a stray cat, watered a plant, and wrote a note to themselves that read, "Today counts." Then they went to bed and slept well. Hope, the star says, can be as modest as that. A cup turned upright in the sink, a window cracked for fresh air, a hand laid over your own heart for a moment, listening. Elias smiles in the dark, and the smile stays even after it slips from his face. He is ready to drift toward the quietest part of the night, where the stars speak less, and the body speaks more, bone by bone, muscle by muscle, saying, "Rest now, you are held." The night has grown comfortable around the hill, like a shawl pulled close by a familiar hand. The lake's surface has smoothed into a single dark petal. Dew begins to gloss the tips of grass, not cold, only fresh. Elias feels it in the air, the soft change that comes when the world decides to be very, very quiet. He tucks the blanket higher and settles the weight of his head into the rolled cloak. The cedar scent rises again, woody, clean, a memory of careful cupboards and winter evenings. The stars above have finished their longer tales. Now they murmur tiny things, syllables barely there, a hush of silver against velvet. The body of the night loosens, and Elias loosens with it, the way a knot can forget itself and become a simple ribbon. Above him, the stars give their closing notes, like lanterns dimming in a friendly street. The amber star from the south, Mara's lighthouse, offers a single image, a lamp left on in a window, steady as a heartbeat. The coal blue star, Ansel's jar of hums, sends a low so soft it is almost felt more than heard. The silver point at the horizon, Nico and Elin's shared wall, slips a warm loaf onto the sill of the sky. Sora's greenish star floats a map that is mostly ocean, with the shore named Enough. The musician's star lays a single chord that closes like evening curtains. And Mina's tailor star pats an invisible pocket at Elias's chest, where grace has already been stowed for the morning. Elias would nod, if nodding didn't feel like too much movement. The blessing is understood. He answers by breathing, slow and even. The breath is his lighthouse. The breath is his hum. The breath is a shared wall through which care travels without knocking. It goes in and it goes out. It arrives and it leaves, and he is carried. If you like, we can let a little wave of rest move through the body. No effort, only noticing. Begin at the brow. Imagine the skin there smoothing, lines dissolving, as though warmed by a late sun. The eyes are heavy with kindness. They know how to close. The cheeks slacken, the jaw unhooks, and the tongue finds a soft blue bowl at the floor of the mouth and rests there, floating. The back of the neck lengthens. Like dough set to rise. The shoulders sink toward the earth's patience. The arms grow pleasantly heavy, as though the blanket were filling them with calm sand. Hands uncurl. Fingers forget their names. The chest is a quiet harbor. The ribs are piers. The breath is small boats going out and coming in, out and in, never hurried, never late. Down through the belly, a tide smoothing the shore. Hips soften, legs unspool, ankles yawn, feet widen, and feel the kindness of the ground. From crown to toes, a single gentle answer to gravity. Yes, you may hold me. The owl calls once, far off, a courteous reminder that other lives keep other hours. Elias smiles from somewhere inside his half-sleep. A moth passes by, tapping a syllable of wing against the blanket. Tick, then drifting on. The old wall at his back is warm where it caught the day's last light, and the warmth lingers. A pocket of afternoon the night has not the heart to take away. Down through the belly, a tide smoothing the shore. Hips soften, legs unspool, ankles yawn, feet widen, and feel the kindness of the ground. From crown to toes, a single gentle answer to gravity. Yes, you may hold me. The owl calls once, far off, a courteous reminder that other lives keep other hours. Elias smiles from somewhere inside his half-sleep. A moth passes by, tapping a syllable of wing against the blanket. Tick, then drifting on. The old wall at his back is warm where it caught the day's last light. And the warmth lingers, a pocket of afternoon the night has not the heart to take away. A star, small, milk white, comes closer in his thoughts, not in the sky. It sets a tiny stool beside him, the sort of stool found in kitchens and studios, three-legged and sturdy, and sits. It says nothing out loud. Some companions are best at silence. Elias, in response, lets go of the last shore of wakefulness, finger by finger. He has listened long enough for the listening to keep going without him. We can practice letting go together. Imagine you are holding small pebbles in your hand. Pebbles with the day's leftover edges. One is a task you meant to finish. One is a sentence you wish you'd spoken more softly. One is a thought that kept jangling on its string. Open your hand in your mind and let them tumble, plink, into a clear bowl. The bowl accepts them without comment. It will keep them if needed. It will forget them if not. Your hand is empty now. Empty is good. Empty is ready to be filled with sleep. The sky leans down. The constellations arrange themselves into familiar shapes. Not hunters and queens, but household comforts. A teapot, a book left open and face down, a chair turned a little toward the window, a door left on its latch for someone who might arrive late. The Milky Way becomes a soft path made of flour, and footsteps move along it without sound. Elias remembers the line on his folded paper, Remember the river you promised to visit, and in his mind he sees it, not to plan, not to measure, just to feel that water will be there tomorrow, doing what water knows. If a thought comes to you now and asks for attention, give it a blanket and a small pillow, and let it rest at the edge of the bed. It can stay. It does not need to be solved. The stars themselves are unsolved, and see how calmly they shine. The hill breathes, the lake too. Elias's breath joins theirs. 3 steady rhythms overlapping until they are one. Sleep walks up the path like an old friend who knows where the key is hidden, lifts the latch, and pads in with bare feet. The room of the body is dark and kind. The quilt of night tucks itself beneath the chin. Before the last threads of wakefulness loosen, the stars offer their final gifts, simple as pebbles. You are safe. You are warm. You belong. Love can be ordinary and still be vast. Hope can be quiet and still strong. Dreams can rest and still faithful. They do not hurry you. They do not leave. They wait at the corner like a patient cat, blinking. And when you are ready, tomorrow or another tomorrow, they will follow you down the steps, winding around your ankles, pleased to be chosen. Elias drifts. The owl becomes distant. The breeze becomes the smallest rocking. The blanket becomes a cloud that understands shoulders. The ground becomes a hand, and the stars, who have done this work for longer than memory, keep their watch without a single blink. Shh, shh, good night. If you have not already slipped into sleep, you may tip over the edge now with one last slow exhale, longer than the inhale, softer than a whisper, until what remains is only a gentle dark and the promise that the night will carry you. The hill, the lake, the traveler, and the sky breathe as one.